All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom Plasma, Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Peace and blessings to the elect of Israel, dispersed and scattered through the four corners of the earth. Double honors to the ancient men and elder men of the house of David, doing the work of the Most High, patiently laboring in the word of the Lord. A hearty, mighty Shalom to the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing His truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, Shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the word of the Lord. Shalom, Shalom. Shalom to all of the sisters out there, married, unmarried, widows, holding it down in the households, representing the husbands, keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments, and being obedient and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men and the children. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, all praise to the Most High for allowing us to do this Sabbath service. Well, it's been a couple months since we was able to do a Sabbath service, so this is the mercy of the Lord, right? As we always do, let's go to Acts chapter 18, verse 4.
Acts chapter 18 and verse number 4. And he reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks.
Right, this is another Sabbath service to persuade Israel, who knows that they're Israel, to continue in the faith, the law, statutes, the commandments, the brotherly love, the charity, all things to magnify the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and to those just finding out that they're Israel, to compel them to come back to the scriptures, to compel them to come back to their nationality, right, forsake the ways of this world. And the only way we can do that is through Philippians 4:13.
The book of Philippians chapter 4 and verse 13. I can do all things through Hamashiach, which strengthens me.
Right, through the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, we're able to stand 10 toes down for the doctrine we learn, cast down false doctrine, and persuade the gainsayers. Right.
All praise to the Most High for grace and mercy to see another Sabbath day, to be in the spirit, to know the Most High's name. You can get James chapter 1 and verse number 12. And to continue to endure in this thing, man. We have to endure to the end. And that's striving, keeping the faith, being on fire, keeping these commandments, and being diligent.
James chapter 1 and verse number 12. Blessed is the man that endures the temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life.
Right, he said he shall receive the crown of life. That's what we all striving for. That's why we got to keep these solemn feast days, man. We can't just be keeping one or two commandments. We have to keep the whole scriptures. We have to be zealous, therefore. Read on.
Which the Lord has promised to them that love him.
Right, meaning them that keep his commandments diligently, that are on fire, that are abstaining from all lust and concupiscence of the world, standing 10 toes down for the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And we're going to get into it, right? The Feast of Dedication draws nigh. December 17th at sundown is the Feast of Dedication. Right, again, December 17th at sundown is the Feast of Dedication. Right, let's go to the book of John, chapter 10 and 22. Right, St. John, chapter 10 and verse 22.
The book of St. John, chapter 10 and verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication.
That was Christmas.
The Feast of Dedication.
Kwanzaa.
The Feast of Dedication.
Right?
And it was winter.
Right, go on.
And Yahushua.
No, Big Santa.
And Yahushua.
Right?
Walked in the temple in Solomon's porch.
You see that? So Yahushua was keeping the Feast of Dedication. He was in the temple keeping the Most High holy days. Now, when you read the book of Numbers, the 28th chapter, the 29th chapter, Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter, Exodus, the 34th chapter, the Exodus, the 23rd chapter, Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, you read about chapters that deal with our high holy days. Right. Nowhere in those chapters do you read about the Feast of Dedication being kept. Right. That's right. That's all right, brother. But we're going to go and show you where the Feast of Dedication originates from. First, let's go to Acts 16 and 1. Right? Let's go to Acts 16 and 1. Acts chapter 16 and verse 1.
Acts chapter 16 and verse number 1. Then came he to Derbe and Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there, named Timotheus,
Right, that's the Timothy you read about, 1st and 2nd Timothy. Go on.
the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewess, and believed, but his father was a Greek.
But what?
But his father was a Greek.
Right, his father was a Greek. Now, Christianity, they see this word Greek, and what do they think about automatically? The so-called white man, right? Blonde hair, blue-eyed, Alexander the Freak. They were conditioned. We've been taught that every time you see the word Greek in the Bible, it's dealing with a so-called white man, right? You always see, give me Galatians 3 and 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. Why? And they never think about this question. Why during the height of the Roman Empire are people still being called Greeks? Where is that coming from? Where did this Greek insertion into the scriptures come into play, man? When all throughout the Bible you read about really three major empires, man. The Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, and the Roman Empire, and somewhat of the Assyrian, right? But the Greek Empire is also prophesied in the Bible, which we will go into, but they don't go into that in Christianity. So now when you see that word Greek in the New Testament, you don't have the foundation or where it came from. You automatically just think it's a white man. Bring that out, King.
God. Galatians, right, 3 and verse number 28. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Hamashiach Yahushua.
Right, ye are all one in Hamashiach Yahushua. Now, brothers, what does that word Greek in the Greek say? Helen, right? Helen or Hellenista. Let's pull it up, Baba Kasha. Right, let's pull it up. That word in the Greek is Helen, right? It's a Greek-speaking Jew.
Right.
During the time of Jesus Christ, you had Jews that spoke Greek, and you had Jews that spoke Hebrew. Remember when Yahushua was crucified upon his cross, the superscription said what? Jesus Christ, Nazareth, King of the Jews. Written in what? Latin, written in Greek and Hebrew. Latin being the dominant language of the Roman Empire, Greek being the most spoken language of the Roman Empire, and then Hebrew being, of course, for the Hebrew Israelites, man. Right? So that's why you have those three languages written at that time. Just like America's like a bilingual nation. You got to know English and Spanish. You go to a place, it might say something in English. Underneath, it might say something in Spanish. Same thing. Let me get this quick point, bring that up. Can you read it, King? Oh, for sure.
Right, gone. This is the Strong's definition for Greek, right? G 1672, Helen, right? Which is a Greek either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek islands or colonies. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations.
The name embraces all nations, meaning it's not just talking about a white man, right? It embraces all nations. Go on.
That Jews that made the language customs.
That what?
That made the language customs.
So you had Jews that made the language part of their customs. Go on.
And learning of the Greeks their own, the primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship.
So what it's saying is that word Greek is speaking about Jews who adopted the Greek customs. That's going to be the foundation as we go into the Feast of Dedication. You had Jews during the time of Yahushua, which is after the Maccabees, that spoke Greek, that lived like Greeks, that talked like Greeks. Right? Go to Acts 6 and 1. Acts chapter 6 and 1. We're going to put this word Grecian up in the Greek as well.
Acts chapter 6 and verse 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministry.
Right, read that again, Baba Kashan.
Acts 6 and 1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples was multiplied,
so as the church began to grow,
there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews.
Right, so the Grecians was getting mad, man, at the Hebrews. Why?
Because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration.
Right, so when they set up tables to help out the Israelites and the widows, you had widows that spoke Greek and they shunned them. You speak Greek? Get in the back of the line, man. We're not dealing with you, man. They came up to get their clothes, get their food, get their water, and he said, no, we're not dealing with you, man. Learn Hebrew first, man. That's Deuteronomy 28:54, man. Yet I being evil towards your brother. Even though it says Hebrew or Grecian, they're both what? Israelites.
Right.
Now, that word Grecian, I believe, is Hellenista. Right? Can you bring that up, Baba Gashan?
Right, this is the Greek word for Grecians, right? In the Strong's G1675, Hellenistes, right? In the Strong's Info, a Hellenist or Greek-speaking Jew.
Right, that's the word. Hellenista is a Greek-speaking Jew. The word Greek is someone, or Hellenist, an Israelite who adopted those Greek lifestyles. You had Israelites in the truth, but they spoke Greek. That's what a Grecian is, right? Like you have brothers that come into the truth, but they speak fluent Spanish. Their English is not too good, man. In the ancient world, they were shunning men like that, right? There's an old custom that says they rather eat pork than speak Greek, man. That's how bad they looked at the Greek tongue, based off of what happened prior to the Feast of Dedication. I know brothers.
Could you get the book of John, chapter 12, and verse number 20? Because it shows you in the scriptures, right, the same thing the brother's going into.
St. John, chapter 12, and verse number 20. And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast.
Right, they came to worship at the feast. And the feast is only for who? The Israelites, man. Who were commanded by the law to keep the feast. When you go into the book of Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter. Right, read on.
The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Yahushua.
Right, we want to see Yahushua. So these are Greeks in the Bible. That's not talking about the so-called white man. Where in history did the so-called white man desire to worship our Lord Yahushua? Didn't they beat him? Didn't they crucify him? Didn't they mock him and do all manner of sorcery towards him, and try to cast him down? So these are Israelites desiring to see our Lord Yahushua.
Come on, let's go to Acts chapter 17 and verse 1. Right, Acts 17 and 1. Like the brother said, if you look at it in modern times, before we came into the truth, we would be considered the Greeks. Right, we would be considered Americans. Right, and those who grew up in the faith who could speak the Hebrew, they would look the same way upon us how they looked upon them in the ancient world. You speaking out of that dialect? Get out of here.
Right.
And there's some brothers in the truth who even do that with brothers who just come into the truth.
Right.
Oh, you don't know what shalom means? You don't know what comment, man, you're a baby. You don't know this. That's the same thing that was going on there. That was the dispute going on amongst the church, right? Those who were raised up and who were more understanding of the truth, and those who were new and being grafted back in. Right, you got it.
Acts 17 and verse 1. Now when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where was a synagogue of the Jews.
Right, so like the brother was saying, the only people who dwelt in the synagogue were the Jews. The Israelites was only in there. Right, and the regions of Thessalonica and Athens and all that was conquered during the Alexander dynasty. Right, when Alexander was going to and fro, conquering and doing X, Y, and Z. So those were already under the authority of Greece, right?
And Paul, as his manner was, went in unto them, and 3 Sabbath days reasoned with them out of the scriptures, opening and alleging that Hamashiach must needs have suffered and risen again from the dead, that this Yahushua, whom I preach unto you, is Hamashiach.
So Paul was persuading those who already knew, right? Look, this is Yahushua. You got to understand the prophecies, understand that he was foretold by the prophets, right? And he abode with them 3 Sabbaths to allow them to understand, right?
And some of them believed,
Right.
and consorted with Paul and Silas.
So some of them believed and they understood and they ate up what they were saying. They were taking notes. They were talking about it when they got home, couldn't wait till the next Sabbath.
And of the devout Greeks, a great multitude, and of the chief women, not a few.
Right?
But
Can I make a quick point? Yeah, if that's always talking about the so-called white man, where's the devout Edomite at? Right? The devout Greek Edomite, man. That lets you know it's not talking about the so-called white man all the time.
But the Jews which believed not, moved with envy, took unto them certain lewd fellows of the bastard sort, and gathered a company, and set all the city on an uproar, and assaulted the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people.
So you had a huge uproar, man. The Jews, they were jealous. They were jealous that the people were getting understanding they were being grafted back into Israel, right? Pertaining to the prophecy in Hosea 1 and 10, they were cast off, right? And started following other things, such as Timothy's father, right? So all things were prophesied as before is the same thing that's happening today.
And one of the major points of prophecy, go to the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter, right? You read about four major kingdoms that were prophesied in Daniel 2, Daniel 7, right? You read it in Daniel 8, Daniel 11. These are prophecies that deal with these kingdoms. So you're inevitably, or you have to ask yourself, out of these four kingdoms, as we read it, where do you see in the Old and New Testament the empire of the Greeks? From Genesis to Malachi, where's the time of the Greeks ruling, man? Because during the time of the prophets that began, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, that's during what captivity? The Babylonian captivity, right? During the time of Malachi, Zerubbabel, Zechariah, Haggai, that's during the time of the Persian captivity. You open up the book of Matthew 1 and 1, it's during the time of the Roman captivity. What happened to the Greeks? They're prophesied to rule over Israel, but now they're completely taken out of the scriptures.
And where is the start of the Roman captivity?
Right.
Where does that start at? It's all written in the book of Maccabees.
Right. And that's why you have to read the Apocrypha, man. You have to open up the Apocrypha and read 1st and 2nd Maccabees to get that missing history. Scholars call it the intertestamental period, the time period that happened between Malachi, the 4th chapter, and Matthew, the 1st chapter. There's a whole gap of history that's not written in your regular Bible that you get from the church or Barnes and Noble. That intertestamental history is paramount when it comes to understanding certain things in the New Testament, right? And we're going to go into that. Now read that first and foremost, Daniel 2 and 36.
Daniel chapter 2 and verse number 36.
So Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, right? He had a dream of the statue, right? You can look up the statue on the internet and see how they may portray it to look, right? Head of silver, head of gold, arms and chest of silver, thigh, belly of brass, legs of iron, feet of iron, and marble clay. So bring that up.
This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory, and wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and fowls of heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold.
And quick side note, we've done an in-depth breakdown on this chapter. You can go to the same channel and type in Daniel chapter 2 or the secrets of Daniel, and we've covered Daniel, the whole book, just about, right? So in that statue, Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian Empire, they are the head of gold, right? The material of the metal shows the power and sovereignty of that kingdom. Gold being the most precious metal shows that Nebuchadnezzar had the most dominion in his kingdom out of all these other kingdoms, right? And also, we'll read on. Go on.
And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass.
So the kingdom that was inferior to Babylon was what? What did the brother say? The Medes and the Persians. They were inferior, right? They were inferior. Why? Because you can actually check that king of Persia, man. Right? They actually pulled up on a king and said, look, king, you going off, man. You can't deliver Daniel, right? Didn't you say A, B, and C, and they could check the king? You couldn't check Nebuchadnezzar, man. He was God in that time. But the laws of the Medes and Persians got weak, and they let you kind of follow your own God. Cyrus let us go back and build the temple. He restored, certainly going to the history, certain Babylonian idols. He wanted to appease everybody and make everybody kind of do their own thing. So they started getting weak.
A lot of the Dariuses were cut off.
Right.
They were assassinated by their own people. That wasn't happening in Babylon the Great, man. That power structure was too mighty.
Yeah, the power got real weak. When you go to the book of Esther, there's something called, the book of Daniel, there's something called the law of the Medes and Persians that alter it not. So in the time of Babylon, he could evoke a law and take it back just like that, and nobody could say nothing to him. He's God. You could, Persian king, Daniel could have checked the Persian king, man. He was the third under Babylon. So hold on, you put a law out there, what the hell are you doing? And the king kind of have to put his head down, man. So the government gets weaker as time progresses. That's why the metals and these statues get inferior throughout time in terms of wealth and value. So for gold, it gets weaker to silver, and then brass, and then iron, and then clay. So it shows the weakness of these kingdoms throughout time. Right, brothers, understand that? But on another level, as you look at the statue, we're gonna pull it up. Right, let me just pull it up so brothers can see this. Right, and this is going to help you understand. The brothers got it real quick. Let me pull this up. Could you get the book of Judah, chapter 6 and verse 4? Just to show you, because a Nebuchadnezzar is calling himself the Lord, king of all the earth, man. To the point where the Lord had to abase him. Bring that up.
Judah chapter 6 and verse number 4. For with them we will tread them underfoot, and their mountains shall be drunken with their blood, and their fields shall be filled with their dead bodies, and their footsteps shall not be able to stand before us, for they shall utterly perish, said King Nebuchadnezzar, Lord of all the earth.
What did he call himself?
Lord of all the earth.
So he called himself the Lord of all the earth. Because you had a monarchy, man. And everything from there on out got broken down to where it started to be governments. Like when you go into the book of First Maccabees, the 8th chapter, verse 15 all the way down. They had a Senate house. So that power, that structure from the head and the king started to be broken down to many men as you go all the way down.
For he said, none of my words shall be in vain.
Right, now who the hell are you to say something like that, man? None of my words will be in vain. As this is the Most High, man.
Let's go to Bell and the Dragon, verse 27. Right, this is an example of that, the opposite of what Orion brought out, the power structure being completely obliterated, man.
The history of Baal and the dragon, verse number 27. Then Daniel,
Started verse 26, bro.
verse 26,
25.
25. Then said Daniel unto the king, I will worship the Lord my God, for he is the living God.
Right, and during the time of Babylon, what was happening if you didn't bow down when you heard the cymbals, the trumpets being blown? Right, at that certain time, you got cast into the furnace. Right. Keep going.
But give me leave, O king, and I shall slay this dragon without sword or staff. The king said, I give thee leave. Then Daniel took pitch and fat and hair and did seethe them together and made lumps thereof. This he put in the dragon's mouth, and so the dragon burst it in sunder. And Daniel said, Lo, these are the gods ye worship.
Right.
When they of Babylon heard that, they took great indignation and conspired against the king.
So they came up against the king. Like, look, you just let this Hebrew destroy our God that we cast our money to, that we do everything that we do under the sun to this idol. This damn dragon, right? And what they say to him?
Saying, the king is become a Jew.
What did he say?
The king has become a Jew.
And you know how much mocking that takes for you to do that? That's disrespect. Right? You have a nation of people under you, and you got the people in Babylon who's under you too. Right? This is during the Persian captivity, mocking you like, look, you become a Jew. Right. That's like me walking to his brother like, you just became a white man. Look, knock on the white man. You know, brothers, he'd be wanting to put hands on me if I said that. Right? You can finish that off, King.
The king has become a Jew, and he have destroyed Baal. He have slain the dragon and put the priest to death.
Right? They just mocked this man in his face. Right? And what did he do? He put his head down. Well, what do you want me to do?
Right.
You want me to put Daniel in here? Okay.
Right.
And then he goes to see if Daniel was alive. It was crying, weeping in his face.
It says, so they came to the king and said, deliver us Daniel, or else we would destroy thee and thine house.
Damn.
How you say that to the king? No, he got armed guards out front of
Kingdom
his house.
divided.
Right? He got cupbearers. The king is the most guarded person in the world. Right? And go to verse 30. I'm sure we can end up on that.
Come. Now, when the king saw that they pressed him sore, being constrained,
So he didn't have nothing to do. They grabbed him up by the collar and had their hands on his throat.
Right.
What'd he do?
he delivered Daniel unto them.
Right? So he copped a plea.
Right.
Right? He told Daniel, go ahead and do what you got to do to see if you can destroy that. Then they pressed him out. He said, just take Daniel. I can't be destroyed in my own house. Weakness.
Right, sitting again pressed, man. Go to the book of Additions to Esther, chapter 13. And this is another account, you understand, at a weakness of the kingdom, man. Go to Additions to Esther, chapter 13 and verse 1.
Come. Additions to Esther, chapter 13 and verse number 1. The copy of the letters was this: the great king Artaxerxes writes of these things to the princes and governors that are under him,
That are under him.
from India unto Ethiopia,
So he ruled from India all the way to Ethiopia.
in 107 and 20 provinces.
That's a whole lot of providence to have reign over and authority over. Read on.
After that, I became Lord over many nations,
After he became Lord of many nations,
and had dominion over the whole world, not lifted up with presumption of my authority.
what'd he say?
Not lifted up with presumption of my authority.
Right, a little weak, humble king, man. I don't want to do too much.
Right.
I don't know. Read on.
But carrying myself always with equity and mildness,
Right, Nebuchadnezzar didn't have equity and malice, man. He wanted to kill everybody, rule everybody, control everybody. Read on.
I propose to settle my subjects continually in a quiet life.
Where do you want to live?
A quiet life.
A quiet life, man. We hear somebody that want to live a quiet life that's not in his truth. You think they're weak.
Right.
They sit there, they're just quiet and shy, and they don't want to speak up, and they don't have any bravery. He wants to live a quiet life. Read.
And making my kingdom peaceable and open for passage to the utmost coast, to renew peace, which is desired of all men.
Desired of all men. Meaning he cared too much about all men. Right? A real ruler or these real heathens, they'll kill you, man. And don't give a damn about how you feel or what's going on about it, man. So Cyrus, all of these different men in the Persian-Medo captivity, it was substantially different from Nebuchadnezzar.
Come on, let's go to First Esdras chapter 2 and verse 1. Right? Because we got to remember that the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord. So the Lord didn't harden their hearts as he did with Nebuchadnezzar or Pharaoh. Right? The Lord kind of loosened and made their hearts a little flesh. Right? To fulfill the prophecy that was prophesied by Jeremiah. Right? That we would go back into our land. Right? With vessels of gold. And to be able to set up our temple again. So that these prophecies can be fulfilled, so we can have Yahweh Shah come back, right?
First Esdras chapter 2 and verse 1. In the first year of Cyrus, king of the Persians, that the word of the Lord might be accomplished, that he had promised by the mouth of Jeremy. The Lord raised up the spirit of Cyrus, the king of the Persians, and he made proclamation through all his kingdom, and also by writing, saying, thus saith Cyrus, king of the Persians, the Lord of Israel, the most high Lord, had made me king of the whole world.
And you see how the dynamic switch, how, look at the time in Exodus, when Moses and Aaron came up to Pharaoh, he said, I will not serve your God. That's not my God, I'm the God. Loosely paraphrasing. Then you look at Babylon, he has exalted himself.
Right.
Then you had Artaxerxes, he exalted himself. And then you get down to the Persians, and it's like, man, these dudes are soft. These dudes are real soft, right? You got it, boy.
Come. And, pluck it. And commanded me to build him an house at Jerusalem in Jewry. If therefore there are any of you that are of his people, let the Lord, even his Lord, be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem that is in Judea, and build the house of the Lord of Israel, for he is a Lord that dwelleth in Jerusalem.
So the mind frame of these kings, right? Put it in perspective, Israel was cattle at that time. They were property, right? That was money. He said, let my money go free. And if they go, you give them gold, the victuals they need to make it back safely, and give them extra too, just so they can build up their place, right? That shows you how the Lord is switching the hearts of these kings, right? And the same thing that's going to happen with Pharaoh is going to happen in this land, man. The people are going to start getting angry, right? They're going to feel like killing you is doing the service of God, right? So you can see how the dynamic switches when great restoration is coming.
God, and America, to add to that, they take on the spirit of all these different kingdoms of Egypt, Babylon, the Medes, the Persians, and America calls that tolerance. They say you have to be tolerant of other people's religions, other people's beliefs, other people's sexuality, other people's whatever they say, man, culture. That's the spirit of the Medes and the Persians. They had a tolerant kingdom where they was actually allowing everybody to serve their own gods, man. That shows the weakness of that kingdom, right? Now, let's go back to Daniel chapter 2. Even when you read Daniel, the 6th chapter, he wanted to deliver Daniel. You couldn't even do it, man. He said, you better not deliver Daniel, man. Right? He had to kind of put his hand down.
And if you look at it, the Persians and Medes was the shortest captivity.
Right, and they started getting weak. They started as an empire because, not to go too deep into the history, but the Persians actually took down the Medes, man. They took down their own joint friend, ally, diplomatic ally in 550 BC or 552 BC, man. Cyrus came out of Persia and took down Astyages, right? Out of the Median Empire, took them captive, man, 550 BC. So they was already started off weak, man. Then the Medes kind of fell away and the Persians start getting weak. So that's why, again, when you look at the image, you see that depreciation of the value of the metal as it goes down, right? Now let's read on to Daniel, the 2nd chapter. Daniel 2.
God, Daniel 2.
So I can read 39 again.
God, Daniel 2 and verse number 39. And after thee shall arise another kingdom, inferior to
We
thee.
just read how it's inferior, right? How the Persians and Medes was inferior to the Babylonians.
And another third kingdom.
And the what?
And another third kingdom,
Right?
of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth.
So the Greeks were politically weaker than the Medes and the Persians. Why? Because the Greeks, what was the Greeks' main philosophy? Democracy. So they took power out of princes and nobility and gave it to the people. Huh? Demo meaning people, that's what the word means, and kratios meaning to rule. So it's a Greek word that means power of the people to rule. Huh? So now that shows how your empire has been taken out of the king's hands and given to the average Joe. Huh? Only the so-called white man would do something like that. Huh? What did Yahweh Shah say do a democracy? King David didn't have a democracy. Solomon didn't have a democracy. You don't run your kingdom off of an effeminate, weak democracy, man. You know how much confusion that causes? And discord and madness? Not only did the Greeks have a democracy, they had city-states. So you had different city-states that was all divided doing their own thing. Like you may go to Texas, it's a different state. And they have different laws than California. Speeding laws in New Mexico are different than speeding laws in Maryland. Damn, they got laws of murder, and every law is different in these different states, man. That's that Greek philosophy of city-states. So they got weaker and weaker. Now, another thing I want to point out on this image. If you look at the image, you see the body structure, right? So a head is not divided, it's one head. But as the statue goes down, the body parts get more divided and divided and divided, which shows how weaker it gets, right? So the head is singular power and unity, and the arms and chest and silver, they're kind of connected, but they still spread apart. Then your thighs are completely set apart, right, from your belly, man. And then your legs are further apart than your thighs. And then your toes are completely spread apart, man. So the Most High is setting it up on 3 different levels to let you know how he's dealing with these different kingdoms and how they get weaker and process of time. Now read on to Daniel, the 2nd chapter.
Daniel, right, 2 and and 39 again. And after thee shall rise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth.
Right, and that's the king we want to touch on, but let's read on.
And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all of these, it shall break in pieces and bruise.
Who's the fourth kingdom? The Romans. Who wants an iron chain, man? You got an iron chain on, man. Right? That's madness, man. Right? That's the least most. Jake is not wearing that, man. But I got that iron on, man. Right? What is this, slavery, bro? The only time we wore iron chains was as a slave, man. It's rusting all on you, your neck turning all types of colors, man. Infections, pus, right? Cancer. Jake, we threw the gold, man. Let me know how I don't go. You might put some silver on, man. You might do something else, but usually it's gold and silver, man. Jake not putting no damn iron on, man. Right? That's the weakness of the Roman Empire. Because the Romans, they had a republic, man. They had a republic. They can go on into their whole kingdom, but it was complete madness, man. They had the patricians, the plebeians, the assembly, the senate. They had all types of madness going on. So they was completely weak.
And the Roman Empire had a similar political setup as we do, with two parties.
Right. They had two councils and they had a republic. So so they would have men that were set up like Congress that would elect their councils. The Roman Republic. Then they had the Roman Emperor, man. And they was killing those Roman emperors. Then they killed Julius Caesar, man. The Senate. Right? The famous saying is et tu Brutus, man. So they think Brutus was a friend of Caesar and stabbed him in the stomach, man. So you two, yes, man. They killed them all, man. They was killing all of those guys. That's what Amos was going into. Now, let's go into the book of Daniel, 7th chapter. So it's good to study the history, man. You have to go and understand secular history to a certain extent in order to understand the Bible. Right? Daniel 7:2.
God, Daniel chapter 7 verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
Right?
And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another.
Yeah, jump to verse 17 real quick.
God.
Right?
Verse number 17. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth.
Right, so these beasts are actually talking about kingdoms. It's not speaking about actual tigers and lions and bears. It's speaking about men, rulerships of men. Now go back to 7 and 3.
Verse number 3. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another.
Right?
The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Yeah, that's the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Right? Reigned from what? Brothers know the dates. What's the dates of the Neo-Babylonian Empire?
605 BC to 562.
Not quite. Right? Now, 605 is when they started the siege on Judea.
Oh, 626.
626 is when they came into power. Right? And then 539.
Right.
626 to 539, that's their rulership. But they had us at 605 BC to 539 BC. Right? With and it started with Nebuchadnezzar and it ended with Nabonidus. Right? That's that empire right there. They came out of the Assyrians. They actually took down the Assyrians in 612 BC, where Cyaxares of the Median Empire and Nebuchadnezzar of the Babylonian Empire. Right? So let's read on.
And behold, another beast, second, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise and devour much flesh.
Right? Read that again. Spirit.
Daniel 7 verse number 5. And behold, another beast, and a second like unto a bear.
That's the Medo-Persian Empire. Go on.
and it raised up itself on one side.
Right, because the Persians took down the Medes, right? At 552 to 550 BC. Go on. At the Battle of Ecbatana. Go on.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it.
The ribs are the carcasses of a beast, right? The 3 ribs it took down are what? Lydia, Egypt, and Babylon. Brothers on fire. Lydia, what's the date? Brothers know the date? 545. Right? King Croesus at the Battle of Thyatira, right? Or the siege of Sardis. Then you had the Babylonian Empire, 539 BC, the Battle of Apis. Walked in freely, took them down. Then you had around 525 BC, the Battle of Pelusium. They took down Cambyses II took down Pharaoh Satmuk III, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Pharaoh Satmuk III at the Battle of Pelusium, 525 BC. Those are your 3 ribs in the mouth of this beast. Let's go on. And it said, arise, devour much flesh, because that's 127 provinces that they conquered, right? The much flesh is the people they conquered, right? The other beast. Go on.
Between the teeth of it, and they said, thus unto it arise, devour much flesh.
So they had the largest empire ever recorded. No empire ever was as large as the Persian Empire. Even in the movie 300, man. I believe Xerxes said 100. He said something about a great number of people ascend upon you, man. You know, and the guy said, look, we're going to blow out the sun with our arrows, man. And the other man said, well, we're going to fight in the shade. He started laughing, man. He said, we're going to fight in the shade. You watched that movie 300, they thought it was an earthquake, man. And King Leonidas, he was like, no, it's battle formations, man. So that movie kind of went in, man. And they started doing their thing, man. Right? So that showed you how vast that Medo-Persian Empire was, man. Let's go on.
And after this I beheld,
That's what we want to touch on.
and lo, another like a leopard.
Like a what?
Like a leopard.
This is the Greek Empire. Like a leopard. The swiftness of them coming into power is like the speed of a leopard. Go on.
Which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Right, so the 4 heads are what? Brothers, remember the 4 heads. Seleucus, Ptolemy, Lysimachus, and Cassius. Those are the 4 heads. The 4 wings is where they rested the different regions. Right, when you look up Alexander's kingdom, that was divided. It was divided into different portions ruled by those different 4 heads. So we could also pull that up. But we encourage brothers to look this stuff up as well, man. You got to go into this history, man. You can't just read like we always say, Bell and the Dragon all day, man. You can't do an in-depth breakdown on the history of Susanna. Were they garden balls, or what kind of balls did she use to wash herself? Right? Did she use lavender soap, or was it aloe vera? Because I use aloe vera. We don't care about that, man. Right? A loofah, man. Right? What kind of garden was she growing? Did she grow tomatoes? Because I like cucumbers. That's off, man. You sit up there trying to study what kind of crops was growing in Susanna's garden, man. 3 days and 3 nights on a fast. Brothers, you have to go into the prophecies, man. Real quick, go to Sirach 39 and 1. I'm gonna pull up this map.
Sirach, chapter 39 and verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient,
And what?
and be occupied in prophecy.
No, be a nigga.
And be occupied in prophecy.
And Susanna's garden.
And be occupied in prophecy.
Did Sarah have an afro?
And be occupied in prophecy.
So a man of the Lord is going to be occupied in prophecy. He's not worried if Sarah had an afro, or did she have braids, man? Right? He's not thinking about that all day, man. Tossing and turning in the middle of the night, man. Can't get no rest. Troubled. His spirit is much troubled over the hairstyle of Sarah, man. Right? Because you gotta have an afro. I just know it, right? Brothers, let it go and get into these prophecies, man. Right? And we're gonna pull this map up. Brothers have precept. All right, let me pull this map up, right? And we're gonna show brothers Alexander's empire actually divided. Okay, this is somewhat, right? Somewhat what we need. Bear with me. We're gonna pull this up. Now, you have to kind of be careful when you look this map up because you'll have different maps, right? But it'll show you in time. Like you may see a map of America in the 1600s. It's not going to be the same territory as the 1700s or the same territory as the 1800s. So this map right here, it shows Antigonus, right? Now, Antigonus was an older general of Alexander, but he ended up getting kind of wiped out, right? You see this blue right here, that's Antigonus. He got wiped out by Cassander. But generally, you see the green right here, that's the Seleucid Empire. We're going to focus on the Seleucid Empire on the green right there. On the orange right there, this is a map key for brothers that may not know. That's a map key. So on the orange, it's the Ptolemaic dynasty, right? And in the purple, it says other Greek states, but that goes into Thrace and parts of Cassander, Lysimachus' kingdom. Let's see if I can get another one real quick. Like I said, you want to be right. Let's see. Let me pull this one up. This is a decent one. Right. Let's see if I can get this. All right. This Alexander's empire in 303 BC. You see Lysimachus in a dark orange, and the lighter orange is Cassander, and the green is Antigonus, and the purple is Ptolemy, and the orange, I guess, or the peach color is Seleucus. So those four aheads are dealing with Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. Right, brothers, see that? Come on, brothers got that. So let's go back to that in the book of Daniel. Daniel 7 and 3, 6 one more time, slide.
Daniel chapter 7 verse number 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it.
Right, let's go to 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and 1. Actually, go to Daniel 11. Right? Daniel 11 and 1. Right? So we're dealing with the Greek Empire. So brothers can understand before you even get into the Feast of Dedication, how the Most High prophesied these 4 major kingdoms. When you read the New Testament, you see that word Greek reported to the prophetic or the prophecies in a secular history to show you where this came from, man. The Bible's just not a book of walking on water, man. Right? It has actual men that lived the earth, man. Cleopatra, that's a woman. Everybody knows about Cleopatra. All in the Bible, you read about various Cleopatras, man. Of the Ptolemaic and Seleucid dynasty. Right? Who's another famous worldly man in the Bible? Who brothers say? Nebuchadnezzar, King Solomon, Caesar, Tiberius, Claudius, these various pharaohs, who? Nero, Julius, Herod, Agrippa, Pontius Pilate, Nimrod. These are actual men, man. Then King Darius. You can go to the top Ivy League school, open up the Bible and say, did this man live? They say, yes. Yeah, your top historian say, yes, Cyrus is a real man. I know all about him, Darius. And then they say, what history book is that? You say, no, it's the Bible. Right? Because the Bible covers real history, man. Right? Bring it up.
And since lately I've been seeing that we start bringing out on YouTube a lot of the history of the wars that took place.
Yep.
From Babylon, the Persians, the Medes, and all of the Grecians.
Yeah, they bringing that stuff out, man. I saw when they did one on the Siege of Jericho. On the History Channel, they actually went into the Siege of Jericho. They said, we don't know how the walls fell. Maybe it was an earthquake. But, Esau was trying to get scientific, man. Because the tectonic plates during that time, they were shit. No, bro, it was the Most High, man.
Right.
They always try to give a scientific, even in the commentary of the King James Version Bible for the 10 plagues, they say this water turned into blood because of the algae. The algae come around that time of the year and they kind of glow. No, it's the words of the Lord, man.
They did the same thing with the partner of the Red Sea.
Yep, they did the same thing, man. Esau always tried to usurp authority over the miracles of the Lord.
But even now, even in the last year or so, there was a lake that was turning red.
Yeah, they did in China and Russia, man.
What are they gonna say about that?
Right. You got something.
I was going to say you got certain channels like Kings and Generals and Victor that covers history's battles, right, and secular history.
Yep, that's absolutely right, man. And brothers, after we love the history, man, because it goes into the Bible.
That's right.
I hated U.S. history, man. You gotta learn about the presidents and their different political reforms and the New Deal and what it. We don't care about that, man. Hey, if we was to learn about biblical history from damn 5 to, hey, we'd be on a high level, man. We'll know this like that, man. We can name all of our kings, right? From damn Saul all the way down to Jeconiah. We can go into all of that, man. Now we gotta start all over, man. And we damn grown adults learning our history all over again, man. But it's the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You got something?
God, this Kings and Generals. On Kings and Generals, it goes into what happened at Alexander's tomb, and it talks about the wars between the dynasties, right, that was set up, and a good majority of it is kind of stemming off of Alexander's tomb, which was placed in Egypt, right. So that's where a lot of important battles happened in that region right there.
And they had a lot of wars. That was the first war, and they call these men, when you look it up, the Diadiki or the Diadici, which is I believe Latin or Greek for successors. So the men that came out of Alexander, the first fight they had was, where were they going to bury Alexander? Each general wanted to bury Alexander in their own region, huh? So they started fighting, man. Men like Perdiccas, Antigonus, Ptolemy, Seleucus.
First war to Diadici.
Yep, that's it. First war to Diadici. They started fighting after Alexander the Great's death, man. And that was the massive civil war. That's that Greek brass kingdom. And we're going to go into it in the book of Maccabees. Daniel 11:1.
Daniel, chapter 11 and verse 1. Also in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him.
Right?
And now I will shew thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia.
Right, so you had 3 kings of Persia, man, and a 4th shall be richer than them all. The 4th that was richer than them all is Xerxes. That's the same Ahasuerus that you read about in the book of Esther. Exact same man. When you watch that movie 300, Esther, around his reign, is the queen during that time, right? For brothers that don't know that. Now you had 3 kings that came in before Xerxes, right? You had Cambyses II, you had Bardiah or Pseudo-Smyrdes, and you also had Darius the first, who came into power before Xerxes, right? Now you had wars that the Persians was fighting against the Greeks, man. That's that movie 300 right there. We keep talking about it. That's one of the second. That's the second invasion of the Persians going into Greece. The first time they went was under Darius, and they got whooped up, man. Right? At the Battle of Marathon. That's history for brothers to go into. The Battle of Marathon, and that's where the word marathon comes from. The man at the end of that battle ran about 26 miles or so, kilometers, and he went back and declared, he said Nike, right, which is Greek for victory. And he declared Nike, which is Greek for victory, to let them know that, guess what? We took down Darius the First, and we destroyed him, huh? That's history that brothers that may not know. And then he had the second invasion, and that's what Daniel 11 and 2, the latter end, is speaking about. He shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. That was another invasion that Xerxes wanted to do to avenge his father's mishaps in Greece. And they went into Greece again, and they took another L.
The rise of an empire.
Right, the rise of an empire.
Right, 300. That's the sequel to 300.
God. So that's that Greek history and Persian history that the Bible is speaking about. You have the Battle of Thermopylae, which was the chief battle, and then you have what they call it the Hot Gates, right? Then you have the Battle of Marathon. 2 chief battles that led between the Persians and the Greeks. And it led to the Greeks taking down the Persians, right? And we're going to read that in 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and 1.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and...
See, real quick, go to Job 14 and 5, because they wanted to expand their kingdom. But the Most High didn't want them to expand their kingdom. The Most High said, look, you're going to stop here, man. And they said, no, we want to strive and keep fighting. And the Lord shut it down, man. Bring that out in Job 14 and 5.
Job 14 and verse number 5.
Right?
Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass.
No, he can do what he want to do.
That he cannot pass.
If the Most High wants you to have 127 provinces, you will not have 128. You're not going to have 129. He sets the boundaries of every kingdom and a rulership, and you can't pass it, huh? So if the Most High wanted him to have from India to Ethiopia, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be from India to Corinth, or from India to Sparta, huh? Or from India to Italy. It's going to stop right where the Most High wanted to start until the Most High raised up another king. The Most High got all this stuff set up, man. He created Alexander the Great to take over at a particular time, huh? Right? And he was a well-known sodomite. See, the so-called white man wants to glorify Alexander. They made that movie, Alexander. Did brother see that movie?
Yeah.
It's a low-down, dirty movie, man. It's a lot of Leviticus 20:13 in there, man. And Leviticus 18-22 in there, man. It's madness in there, man. You think you're gonna get into an action movie? It's gonna be, there's a quote. They say the only thing that can conquer Alexander is what? Not just a man and a little boy, his general's thighs. Right? That's the famous quote of Alexander, man. The only man that can stop him was his general's thighs. Now we're gonna go back to the book of that, and that's the so-called white man. That's your top man, because they claim that they started from the Greek civilization, and we came out of the Greeks. Well, that's your leader. Let's bring that up.
Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 3.
That's off.
And
Hold on, that's off. We can't just let that's off.
matter of fact, Salaki, even when you go into that movie, specifically when you first find Alexander, you find him inside of a tent, man.
Yep.
Right? With a boy, man, freaking off.
Right. Freaking off, man.
Let me get this quick precept real fast.
Okay.
You can go to Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 36.
Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself.
Right, this is the so-called white man, man. Right, the so-called white man, he just magnifies himself. You know?
And he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god.
Right, and that's what he do. Above every god on the earth, he's sitting up there, he's making himself the king, even trying to be over the Most High. You know?
And shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done.
Right?
Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women.
What the Lord say?
Nor the desire of women.
Right, so the so-called white man doesn't desire women, man. He's a homosexual, man. And it tells you in the scriptures. So he literally is making himself above every god. He's sitting up there, chief on the earth on the left-hand side. He doesn't desire women, and that's history, man. And you can read about it in the Bible. You got it.
Good. I'm gonna bring this out. Now there's one of Alexander's top generals. His name Hephaestion, right? If we pronounce that right, that's one of his top generals. And these guys was killers, man. Sodomite killers, man. Right? They was killing everybody, man. And they would fight bare naked from the waist on down. They were slaying the mightiest men of the earth, man. Right? Now, I'm gonna bring this up real quick. It says, hold on now. In Alexander's youth, Quintus Curtius Rufus noted, here's the quote, he scorned female sensual pleasures. We just read that. He scorned that, right? To such an extent that his mother was anxious lest he be unable to beget offspring, right? A worry she eased by providing her young son with a courtesan and demanded proof he had slept with her. Wow. His mother needed proof because you have to have an heir to the throne, huh? So his mother needed proof. Did you lay with her? Right? Reading on. It says, this is your so-called white man. This is your king, Esau. It reads,
hold on. Diogenes accused Alexander directly of being ruled by Hephaestus' thighs. The Cynic philosopher quit. It was only by Hephaestus' thighs that Alexander has been conquered. Let's go back to first. Oh, you got something?
Yeah, it says
Directly ruled.
Hephaestus was an ancient Macedonian nobleman and a general in the army of General Alexander. He was by far the dearest of all the king's friends. He had been brought up with Alexander and shared all his secrets. This relationship lasted throughout their lives and was compared by others as well as themselves to that of Achilles and Patroclus, right? So when you go to Patroclus, right, it's Greek mythology, right? He was the childhood friend of Achilles, close war companion, and the presumed lover of Achilles.
See that? You see that? Right? You see that? Now let's go back to First Maccabees, the first chapter. That's what Esau was into, man. Pedestry. Pedestry. Right? That was the number one, quick point, orientation of the Greek Empire. Pedestry. Not heterosexuality, right? Not even just whatever else. It was just pedestry. Man, boy, and that's it, man.
Yeah, if you look at all those Greek mythologies, man, it's always some homosexual background and story with it,
Right,
man.
statues.
Yeah, it's never anything like when you think about Jake's folk tales. You got John Henry.
Right.
What else? I don't know if y'all remember this book, When the People Could Fly. Right, it was a story about during the time of slavery. They said when the masters go to sleep, the people will fly around.
Yeah.
Right.
Spiritual stuff.
Spiritual stuff, right? All our stuff was spiritual stuff, man. Right? All this stuff these people are really freaks, man.
Right.
And our people just want to engage in that Greek lifestyle, man. And they brand it on themselves, man, not knowing the background and backbone of that society.
And two, when you look at those statues, they're all half naked, man.
Right.
And every last one of them has had their clothes are falling off in the air. It's always something provocative, man.
Right.
All on each other.
That's right. That's right, man. Wrestling.
Wrestling.
Little boys posing with the men's statue.
That's right. That's right. So let's go to First Maccabees chapter 1. You got a point? Oh yeah, they all over America, man. That's Esau's glory. There's a statue by the old school up there. I did a code color a long time ago, and it's a grown man and a boy. And underneath the statue it says force. Right? That's right up there. If you're in Baltimore, you can go right up there on Mount Vernon on Charles Street and see the statue of a grown man and a little boy, and it said force. And I was asking people, how do you feel about the statue? I kind of was just asking the random people that went by, man. Well, I think people should be allowed to do what they want to do, man. We ought to do that again, man. Let's go back and do a count it one by one and find out the account.
First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse number 1.
Let's see if we find somebody righteous in Baltimore.
And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
Now it says the land of Kittim. The land of Kittim is synonymous with Greece and sometimes even Rome. When you read the book of Daniel, 11th chapter, you read about the man that came out with the ships of Kittim, right? And that's chiefly speaking about Rome, but sometimes it's applied to the Greeks, right? Now bring that out in Daniel 11 real quick. Daniel 11 and verse 28.
Daniel, chapter 11 and verse number 28. Then shall he return into his land with great riches,
Right?
and his heart shall be against the holy
And
covenant.
we're going to read about that during the time of the Maccabees. His heart being, meaning the heathen king against the holy covenant, right? Go on,
And he shall do exploits and return to his own land.
right?
At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter.
Right. Now, hold on. Now, remember, you have wars. When you read Daniel 11 chapters about what scholars call the 6 Syrian wars between the Ptolemaic dynasty and the Seleucid dynasty. The Seleucid dynasty had the upper hand for a time. but they got defeated in Egypt, right? So he didn't really have the same force that he had in time past. And it's going to tell you what else happened in Egypt. Read on.
4. The ships of Kittim,
For the what?
for the ships of Kittim,
This is dealing with a Roman envoy. When you look it up and go into it, it's dealing with Pompus Linnaeus. He was a Roman consul of the Roman Republic who actually came out against Antiochus Epiphanes IV and told him, you're not coming into Egypt. Because the Ptolemaic dynasty was allies with Egypt. With Rome. So they told him, you're not going to war against Egypt, otherwise we're going to go to war against you. And they actually drew a circle in the sand and said, you better think carefully about what the hell you're going to do, man. Right? If you step outside that circle, you're going to have war, man. So he kind of stayed in that circle, then he kind of went back home. Right? So read verse 30 again.
4. The ships of Kittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant.
So he came in and he took his anger, effeminate wrath out against Israel, man. And this is where you're going to see the time of the Maccabees come in. Right? Go on.
So shall he do, he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant.
What is that? That's what your modern day counterintelligence program. COINTELPRO. He had intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. What's another word for that? Coons, sellouts, Jason, Menelaus, wicked Israelites who gave him intel on how to overthrow the Israelites, man. Whenever the Israelites was overthrown by the so-called white man, there's always an Israelite, man. It's always an Israelite. He can't do it without the Israelites, man. We're the only ones that can destroy ourselves, man. We're literally the only nation that can destroy ourselves. And we went into this before. Another quick note, when we were conquered by the Romans at 70 AD, you know, it was an Israelite that helped, man. His name was Tiberius Julius Alexander, the top general of Rome. Titus needed help. He's from Alexandria, and he overthrew the whole Jerusalem. He said, I know their weaknesses. I know these Negroes, man. And he sold his soul for mischief and destroyed Jerusalem. Titus really didn't do anything, man. Kind of let back. You know how Jake Esau do? Kind of take a step back and let Jake fight Jake, man. Right? And he kind of led that army and gave them the military campaign to overthrow Israel.
Christopher Columbus,
man. Same thing. Israel is always being overthrown by Israelites, man, that help out Esau. That's what Daniel 11 and 30 is speaking about Antiochus Epiphanes having sellouts on his side, man, that forsake the Holy Covenant. Now, let's go back. Oh, go ahead, King.
Right, it's 2 Maccabees chapter 10 and verse number 21. But when it was told Maccabeus what was done, he called the governors of the people together and accused those men that they had sold their brethren for money and set their enemies free to fight against them. So he slew those that were found traitors and immediately took the 2 castles. Right. So you had men, man, all throughout Maccabees, man, right, all throughout these various captivities, right, who were sellouts, man, right, or were selling out for gold, right, for a so-called name, for so-called privileges, as you read in 2 Maccabees, the 4th chapter, man, right, we're overthrowing our people, man, and giving our enemies intel, man, right, to take us down.
Let me get this quick precept. Let me get the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 7, to what? And verse number 9. You can start at 5, 7 and 5.
1 Maccabees chapter 7 and verse number 5. Now therefore, send some man who
Maccabees 7 and 5.
Verse 5. There came unto him all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel.
Right, trying to help the heathen, man. All the wicked and ungodly men of Israel. Read.
Having Alchemists who was desirous to be high priest for their captain, and they accused the people of taking the people of the king, saying, Judas and his brethren have slain all thy friends.
Right, right into the enemy, man. Judas and his brethren have slain all our friends. Read.
And driven us out of our own land.
And has driven us out of our own land. So that's the so-called black man running to the so-called white man, man. And they got traitors in the Bible, man. You got traitors to this very day. Even Yahweh Shah Mashiach told you that brethren would do what? He'll rise up and deliver your own brethren in the last days. So these things are going to repeat themselves. Jump to verse 9.
Verse 9. And Him he sent with that wicked alchemist, whom he made high priest, and commanded that he should take vengeance of the children of Israel.
Right?
So they departed and came with a great power into the land of Judea, where they sent messengers to Judas and his brethren with peaceable words deceitfully.
Deceitfully, man. Your own brethren. Jump to verse 20.
God. Verse 20. Then committed the country to Alchemist and left with him a power to aid him. So Bacchus went to the king. But Alchemist contended for the high priesthood, and unto him resorted all such as troubled the people, who after they had gotten the land of Judah into their power, did much hurt in Israel.
Did much hurt to Israel. And your own people will destroy you, man. Destroy you financially, spiritually. Our own people overthrow us with our false so-called apostles and teachers, man. And our prophets, right? All of these different men. You got them TD Jakes. Our people just love to destroy our own people. Right, we don't?
Now, when Judah saw all the mischief that Alchemist and his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen.
Even above the heathen. That's hard to even imagine, man. Your own people are doing more mischief than the damn heathens do, man. And it hurt more when your own people do it. Because that's your people, man. You're supposed to be with me, not against me. Read.
He went out into all the coasts of Judea round about and took vengeance of them that had revolted from him, so that they durst no more go forth into the country.
Right, you can't have traitors in your own country, man. You got to kill them. You got to get rid of them, man. And that's exactly what happened in the time of the Maccabees. You had traitors. That's what's going to happen in the last days too.
Let's go to First Maccabees 1:1. You got something else?
It's been confirmed that Charles Barkley was the one who picked up the phone and called the NBA commissioner and said, I strongly suggest you suspend Kyrie Irving.
Okay, that sounds right. Right. That's the same man that says, what do you say? He used to be a homosexual or something like that. He's always had homosexual friends. Right? He had the magazine from the 90s, I believe, went up at the change room, huh? Charles breaks free. Chuck breaks free, man. Right?
And he kissed that ref.
Yeah, he kissed that ref. I saw a video with Shaq and Kevin Hart. Did brother see that? No, they weren't kissing. Yeah, he was. Let's bring that up. First Maccabees 1.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse number 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
Right, that happened in 331 BC at the Battle of Gaugamela. Right? At the Battle of Gaugamela. Go on.
Then he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds,
right? And
slew the kings of the earth.
Go on.
And went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him,
right?
Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up.
So he was exalted and his heart was lifted up, man. He came into power. So we don't respect men like Shaq and men like Charles Barkley, man. I'm not going to play that video on camera. We're not going to play it because they may flag the channel. But it's the Sabbath day, and we're going to continue with the words of the Lord.
Right.
Let's go on.
Verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him.
Right. This is the Greek Empire. This is the beginning of the so-called white man coming into power. Coming into power. This is his turn. Right, go on.
And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die.
Yeah, AIDS. Yeah. Right. He had a very strong case of autoimmune defective disorder, man. Deficiency disorder. AIDS. Right? HIV positive, and he had strong AIDS. Right? And syphilis. So that's how he died. He had stage 3 syphilis and AIDS. Go on.
Wherefore,
and he died young. He started at 20 and he waxed strong until he was about 32. And then those thighs got the best of him. See that? Go on.
Wherefore, he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth.
From his what?
From his youth.
That's like what Amos went into, a hyperstation, right? Ptolemy. A lot of these men grew up with Alexander. They was taught by Aristotle, right? And those Greek schools in Athens and other parts of the empire, man. They were taught how to fight, taught philosophy, taught all manner of mathematics and customs from Aristotle. And they actually waged war together. Alexander was a top man in his father's army, Philip II of Macedon, huh? Right? So go on.
And parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
So he divided his kingdom to those different men. You get parts of Asia Minor. You're going to get parts of Mesopotamia. You're going to get Thrace and Macedonia. You're going to get Ionia. You're going to get North Africa. He divided his kingdom. Go on.
So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
Right?
And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years.
And what?
And evils were multiplied in the earth.
What happened when the white man came to power?
And evils were multiplied in the earth.
What happened when Esau rose up?
And evils were multiplied in the earth.
And where's that at in the book of Daniel, huh? Right? Or the book of Exodus, right? Or the book of Kings. Nowhere in the Bible is it otherwise mentioned, except in Maccabees, that when so-called white man came into power, evils were multiplied in the earth, huh? Why do you think he tries to take these books out, huh? Right? Go to Proverbs real quick, I believe 29 and 16, huh? Right? When he comes into power, the Lord said in Proverbs 28 and 28, men hide themselves, huh? Or when the wicked multiply, transgression increases. Right? Bring that out, King.
Proverbs 29 and verse number 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases.
So the more Edomites you have, the more sin you're going to have. That's why Isaiah 14 to 21 says what? Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that what? There's a reason behind it. It says that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor what? Fill the face of the world with cities, man. Because the more cities these Edomites have, the more damn crime you have, man. The more wickedness and profanation you have, the more lawlessness you have. Read on.
But the righteous shall see their fall.
We're going to see the fall of Esau, man. Lord willing, if we're part of that number. Go to Proverbs 28 and 28.
Proverbs chapter 28 and verse number 28.
Right?
When the wicked rise, men hide themselves.
What the Lord say?
When the wicked rise, men hide
It's
themselves.
like the police show up. Jake don't stick around. Right? They ducking and hiding, hopping over fences. 12, 5-0, we gone. Right? Go on.
But when they perish,
When they die,
the rights increase.
we start to increase, man. Right? Have more children, come more out. We come out when Esau ain't around, man. When the police come out, Jake is nowhere to be found, man. They don't stick around, man. They make moves. That's in the Bible. When the Greeks came into power, we began to kind of fall back. We went into the wilderness, ran into the woods, right? We had to kind of be low key. When the Romans conquered Jerusalem and multiplied themselves in Judea, we had to kind of play a particular role. You got a point, Dr. Mine? Okay, let's go to Revelation chapter 6 and 3. Right? Revelation chapter 6 and 3.
Revelation chapter 6 and verse number 3. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, come and see.
So John is about to see a particular revelation. Go on.
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth.
What did Esau do?
To take peace from the earth.
Right?
And that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword.
Right, they're speaking about the so-called white man on a basic level. Right? The spirit that's inside Esau has compelled him to take peace away from the earth. He's not created to bring peace, man. Yahweh Shah is created to bring peace. He's created to bring what? War, violence, destruction, and sin. Right? The flaming sword that turns everywhere to keep you from the tree of life, man. So when Esau came into power, pursuing the first Maccabees, evils was multiplied in the earth. The gymnasiums, right? Working out naked, man. The game of discus, spinning around, naked in the rain, throwing the disc, man, in the sand. The men of the Lord are going to be naked in the rain, throwing disc in the sand, right? Damn, you have old men taking out young men on dates. There's this one more quote, Amos. I know you got something. I can't remember his name. I'm gonna find it, Lord willing. But there's this Greek general, and he's known by this famous quote. He said, as a young boy, he would steal men away from their wives. And when he got older, he would take the wives away from those husbands. Huh? That's how the Greeks get down, right? Young boys stealing husbands away from their wives, man. That's awful. But yes, that's Esau's hand, man. You got it.
Let's go to Psalms 37 and verse 12. Right, Psalms 37 and verse 12. This is what First and Second Maccabees is pretty much wrapped in. These couple verses right here.
Psalm chapter 37 and verse number 12. And it is turned round about by his counsels, that they may do whatsoever he commanded them.
Psalms 37 12.
37
12.
Psalm 37 and verse 12. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth.
Right? And that's what the wicked do, man. When they don't get their way, first thing they do is think about how they can oppress the righteous. How can they oppress the children of Israel? Right? You look at the history of America, that's all America is based off of. Oppressing the children of Israel. Right? If you look at ancient Rome, that's all that is based off of. Oppressing the children of Israel, Greek, so on and so forth, right? Keep going, King.
The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming.
Right? And that's what the Lord had help for the brothers in Maccabees, man. Right? Restored alliances amongst heathens to destroy other heathens. Right? Everything was set up a line to bring down this wicked society. Right?
The wicked have drawn out. Verse 13, the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay such as be of upright conversation.
Right? And really, like the brother was going into, this whole the Ptolemaic dynasty and everything being at war, the Diadochi, this all stems from getting their ass whooped. So what do? They come and look at the poor and needy, the children of Israel, and try to defile it with any madness they can, right? What you got?
I got a quick point after you done.
Come, one more verse.
Verse 15, their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken.
Right? And as you read further along in Maccabees, you just see all the Greek captains and hosts just falling apart. Right? That's how you get the destruction of Nicanor. Right? The Feast of Dedication, while we're rededicating the temple, while we're slaying these heathens, man. Right? You see these things start to fall in place, man. You see their power structure start to fall, and then you see a righteous dynasty coming after that.
Right. And I want to bring this out. This is from Xenophon, right? He wrote a constitution to the Lacedaemonians. Now you had Israelites in Lacedaemonia, but you had heathen out there too. Listen to what he told these men about how to deal with their wives. It reads, he noticed too that during, this is from the letter, right, of chapter 1 and line 5. He noticed too that during the time immediately succeeding marriage, it was usual elsewhere for the husband to lay down with his wife unlimited and in an unlimited time, right? The rule that he adopted was the opposite of this, but he had laid it down. So here's his law, that the husband should be ashamed to be seen entering his wife's room or leaving it. With this restriction on intercourse, the desire of the one for the other must necessarily be increased, and their offspring was bound to be more vigorous than if they had surfeited with one another. Meaning the point is, he didn't want man to lay down with their wives, right? So he can have all of the men, right? He put a law out there, and he said, well, that sounds like a good idea, right? Well, maybe we should. That's what happens in Catholicism, man. They say that these men can't deal with a wife, man. And who did he end up dealing with? Children, right? Boys, each other, man. That's Greek philosophy. That's the Greek lifestyle. Let's go back to 1 Maccabees chapter 1, where you left off. Jump to verse 11. We'll get straight to the point.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 And verse,
It's like it can read 10.
and verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, a surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus, the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
So this is Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, right? He came out of the line of the Seleucids. We're going to show you on the screen the family tree of the Seleucid dynasty. Remember we brought out the map, right, with the 4 different generals: Seleucus, Ptolemy, Cassander, Lysimachus, even Antigonus on there. On this map right here, you'll see the Seleucid bloodline. It should be on. Let me make sure this is showing. Right, brother, see that? Let me see.
No, it's not showing up.
All right, bear with us. All right, let's pull this up. All right, so this is the family tree of the Seleucids, right? Remember, Seleucus was one of his generals. So if you look on this map, it says Seleucus the first Nicator. Gives the timeline. Then Antiochus the first, Antiochus the second Theos, and then it branches off to Antiochus the third the Great. Now, prior to Antiochus Epiphanes coming into power, his father, Antiochus III, allowed us to keep the commandments, right? Even Alexander allowed us to keep the commandments, man. We were to have the temple. We were allowed to keep feast days. It was not until the time of Antiochus Epiphanes IV who did what? Who completely destroyed that spirit of allowing us to serve the Most High God. And that's what you're looking at. He came on the scene from 175 BC to 164 BC, out of the line of the Seleucus III, right? Now go back to First Maccabees. And his name means, Epiphanes means madman or God manifest, right? Here's another quick, this is from Britannica, Antiochus IV Epiphanes. We're not going to read this whole thing, but it means God manifest. But they would call him Epimenes, which means Antiochus the madman, a Seleucid king of the Hellenistic Syrian kingdom who reigned from 175 to 164 BC. As a ruler, he was best known for his encouragement of Greek culture and institutions. His attempts to suppress Judaism brought on the wars of the Maccabees. And I've never heard of the Maccabees until I came into the truth. Never heard of it, man. What's the big secret, Esau, man? All throughout, he even has AP classes in history. Remember they had AP history, advanced history. You ever heard of the Maccabees in those classes? They never bring out the Maccabees. Now those are supposed to be the top high-level history classes, man. Right?
They had an episode on like Rugrats.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a Maccabees episode on Rugrats.
Yep.
That's the first time I heard about it, but I ain't paying no attention.
Yeah, I remember that. And they had the 2 old Amalekites at the beginning sitting on stage.
Arguing.
Yeah, arguing, man. Right? Because supposedly he was an Amalekite, right? Tommy, man.
Yep.
But they reenacted that. And they reenacted the Exodus.
Right.
When you look at that.
Yeah.
So those wars, him trying to oppress Israel, led to the time of the Maccabees. Right? Go to First Maccabees 1 and where you left off, King.
First Maccabees 1 and verse number 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Right, they're sad that they can't be like the white man. Read on.
So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king.
They wanted to be like Esau so much they traveled, left their families, wives, children, cattle, and land to go ask and beg the white man, can we be like you? Read on.
Who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the
Do you
heathen.
think Esau had a hard time thinking about that? No. You say, yeah, free. Yeah, go ahead. Right? What do you want? What do you want? Go on.
Whereupon they built a palace of exercise, it's like a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
That's your gymnasium, man. You go as women half naked, Men are lusting after you. Think you're in there working out. It's men behind the treadmill lusting after you, man. Yeah, freaking off. Then you'll go in the shower, freak off, and come back and keep working out. You just think you're in there doing your thing, man. They're in there lusting after you, men. You go to these old gyms, those Edomites will be naked in there, man. They'll be walking around talking, man. Right? They still do it it's not an old thing, they still do it.
They got a damn sauna in there, man.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Go in there, they put their towels on, and they
Yep.
do God knows what.
Yep.
And then I don't know what it's called, but they got the little pool where they all get in this damn pool together.
Yep.
That comes
The
from
Jacuzzi, man.
the Roman bathhouses.
Yep, the Roman bathhouses, right? They would heat it up from the bottom, and then they would get in there naked, man. Tell the wife I'm going to watch the big game. Going to the Circus Maximus, right? And Jake do that now, man. Oh, it's poker night at my homeboy house, man. Right? Yeah, it's poker night, all right? Right? Go back to First Maccabees 1:14.
With the Black Bear playing the video game.
Yeah. Playing the video game, man. Putting on your headpiece. Entering into a trance, man. Right? It's off. Right? First Maccabees 1:14.
First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
Now, Jake, boy, is it a sin to go to the gym? It's not a sin to go to the gym. You want to be circumspect, though, right? You don't always have to go to the gym, brother, right? You can work out at home. You can work out in your room, push up, do some calisthenics outside, go for a run. A lot of Jakes, you just going to the gym for a woman, man, right? In the gym for 45 minutes to 2 hours, not doing nothing, man. You need some help with that, all right? Being a creep, man. Right, you on the treadmill, then you over here. Brother, leave, brother. Yeah, rolling up mats, man. Go on. And then Jake, well, go on.
Yeah. And
Then
made
brother
themselves,
got they what with my wife, she goes to the gym, she got a gym partner. Right? Terrence, he's helping her out. My wife is definitely, she's getting in shape, man. All praises. And he says, Kwame Yasha'Allah, and because his wife is hurrying up, packing up her bag, putting her makeup on to work out with Terrence, man. Right? I love my wife. Right? That's what Jake said. I love her. She's out there working out with Terrence. She's getting in shape for the kids, man. Right? That's Proverbs 31. Right? Right? More like Leviticus 20 and 10, brother. Right? So there's a lot of spirits that be in gyms, man. There's a lot of spirits in the gym. Be mindful of that, man. Right? You may go in there in your innocence, but people are coming in there guilty, man. Of all types of stuff. Right? Let's bring that up. Read on, King.
go to work out and come home 5 hours late.
Right.
First Maccabees 1 and 15, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
Right. So we started following the ways of the heathen. Go on.
Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt that he might have dominion of 2 realms.
And we read that in the book of Daniel 11 chapter. He wanted to go into Egypt. Right. But in Daniel 11 and 30, something happened. Right. Read on.
Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death.
Now let's jump to verse 41.
Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
Same thing in America, right? What's their motto? At pluribus unum, right? That's on your quarter or your dollar. It means out of many one, right? That we should all be one people. Latin, right? Go on.
And every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Yeah, the Babylonians, the Medes, the Persians, the Assyrians, the Israelites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, they all followed the ways of the so-called white man, right? During this time. Go on.
Yea, many also of the Israelites.
No, we didn't do it.
Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the
So
Sabbath.
we consented to his religion. Like now, Jake, you consent to Christianity, man. Babylonianism, democracy, man. And you profaned the Sabbath. This is what happened during the time prior to the Maccabees coming on the scene, right? Let's go to the book of well, let's read on.
Verse number 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Yes, sodomites, pedestry, idolatry, temple prostitutes, whoredom, right? Eating unclean foods, dressing like the so-called white man, that toga, wearing that laurel in your head, passing the torch, going to the Olympics in Corinth, shaving your beard. These are the things that we used to do, man. Right? Go on. And Jake willingly beats, they're the Greek now, alpha fraternities. Eve is what's the green, Kappa? Yeah, Delta, Omega, Sigma. That's what they do, man. The Thetas. Now the Thetas fight the Qs, man. Right? Kingdom of Brass. Having dance-offs and brothers getting shot in the parking lot. All types of madness going on, man. Right? So go on.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh.
And do what?
And sacrifice swine's flesh.
That's about as evil as you can get, man. Go on.
And unclean beasts.
Offering dogs, horses on the altar, pig, warthog, salamanders, rats, mice, worms, roach. You said what? Yeah, badgers. These are the things that we started offering up on the altar. Because that's what the heathen do, man. Right? They don't care. You watch those documentaries and movies, they'll offer up anything on the altar, man. Right? Go on.
That they should also lead their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
And we stopped circumcising our children on the 8th day, man. Said, look, the so-called white man, oh yeah, he ain't circumcised. He got that. Okay. Right? You're going to be just like that. How sick in the head do you have to be? Right? To have your son to want his body parts to resemble that of your oppressor. Right? We're a sick people, man. Destroyed. Go on.
To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
And that's why Esau does that. He sets up this system so we can forget the law. Right? And be a Democratic Republican and vote at the booth at the school and then go to church on Sunday, man. Everything in this system is set up that you can forget the laws of the Most High God. To assimilation also separates you from the Most High, man. Go on.
And
here go the point.
Whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
They will put you to death if you were circumcising your children, keeping the Sabbath. Go to 2 Maccabees 6 and 6, man. Right? If you decided to keep the law, statutes, and the commandments, they will put you to death, man. If you had your fringes on, a beard on your face, circumcised. They don't put like Esau do stop and frisk. They don't stop you to sit be circumcised, man. Right? There was a situation in Minnesota. Did brother see that in Minneapolis with the police?
Oh, come on, niggas. That's what.
Yeah, they was messing with those Israelites out there. They was molesting the little boys. There was adults too. There was grown men. The police was pulling over Jake, and then they was cavity searching him. Illegal cavity searches on the streets, right? And they did it to 74 Israelites, man. So that's what Esau is doing, man. That's what he's into. Bring that up. So yeah, this place is wicked, man. There's like 8 of them. Yeah, it was like 8 police. They was getting into it, and they was interviewing the Jake. We're not gonna pull up the interview, but as they was interviewing it, Jake was mad, man. He was hot, as they should be, man. You know, they was pissed, man. They was pissed, right? So let's bring that up.
Second Maccabees.
That's 2022.
Yeah.
Right? That this is nothing has changed. It's like butt breaking, lynching, molesting, right? All types of evil, man. Rape. Let's read on.
Second Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse number 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days,
I couldn't imagine, man. Hiding to keep the Sabbath, not being allowed to keep the Sabbath day. Go on.
or ancient feast, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So again, if you didn't call yourself a Jew, what did you have to call yourself? A Greek. When you go to 2 Maccabees, the 4th chapter, they were called Antiochians. So that was their actual title. Look, I'm an Antiochian. I'm an Antiochian from the tribe of Greece, right? And that's how they were identifying themselves, man, during the time of the Maccabees. Right, go on.
And in the day of the king's birth, every month, they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices. And when the feast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy.
We were forced to be in their parades, marches, entertainment, all manner of evil, man. Eat pork, eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. Go on.
Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifice.
And what?
And whosoever would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery.
See, a man might have seen their present misery at that time. If you didn't call yourself a Greek, you were put to death, man. They would kill you on the spot. There was an animated movie not too long ago about the time of the Maccabees too, and it shows the so-called white man kicking the doors down, right? And it's supposed to be Israelites, but you know how Esau is, and they're bowing down. I'm gonna pull it up, Lord willing. I've always been a Greek. Can't you tell? And you have people kind of fighting against them, huh? So that happened during the time of the Maccabees, until you had chief men that rose up, right? That's what we're about to get into. Go to First Maccabees, the 2nd chapter. Actually, real quick, let's go to Daniel 11 real quick. Right, Daniel 11 and verse 32.
Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 32. And it reads, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries.
Right, meaning he was giving Jake gifts and money to get them to sell out against Israelites. That's what Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth was doing. His power was really rooted in Jake selling out Jake. Go on.
But the people that do know their God,
Who are the Maccabees?
but the people that do know their
Who
God,
is Judas and Simon and
but
Jonathan?
the people that do know their
What
God,
about their father?
but the people that do know their God
Shall be what?
shall be strong,
Shall be what?
shall be strong,
And what?
and do exploits.
What are exploits, man? Mighty actions, mighty feats, right? Like you read about in First Maccabees, the 2nd chapter, First Maccabees, the 3rd chapter. The people that do know their God, they're not going to be corrupted by flatteries, man. And that applies to us in the last days, man. You have Jake selling out like the brother went into these pastors, right? These people that are on TV evangelists. Then you have Israelites, that people that do know their God, man.
Right.
And we're doing exploits right now, man. Right? The name of Israel is magnified through the spirit of power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, man. Right? Go on. In Daniel 11.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many.
Yes, Simon instructed many. They set up feast days. They set up ordinances. They rebuilt the temple. They rededicated it. Go on.
Yet they shall fall by the sword,
Jonathan fell by the sword.
and by flame,
Right? Go on.
by captivity, and by spoil many days.
Right. Let's sit on that. Now go to the book of First Maccabees chapter 2. Right? Let's read about some of the feats of our forefathers, man. First Maccabees 2 and 1. Then we're going to jump down.
First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse number 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John.
And real quick, Jake, they may just want to keep the feast of dedication because of the wine or the menorah. Well, I can't wait to light the menorah. It's more than a menorah, brother. You're just looking up how can I get the biggest menorah. My menorah is going to be bigger than his menorah. That's carnal, brother. It's beyond the menorah, man. Right? Oh, you only lit one candle? I light my candles all the time. I've been having a menorah. You just got yours? Jake do it for the garment. They do it for a menorah, for the decorations. for the wine, right? I'm gonna deck my house out like the temple. But they have no idea what happened in history, man. All they know is the menorah. Do I get a menorah chain? This y'all have with, man? You think they still going on that? Brother, nobody cares about that, brother. Right? Keep the feast day and know the history behind it. So let's read that in 1 Maccabees 2.
In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Jared from Jerusalem, and built in Modin.
Yeah, remember David set up 24 courses of the priesthood. He came from one of the first lots of the priesthood. When you read First Chronicles, the 24th chapter. Right? Go on.
And he had 5 sons. And he had 5 sons, Johanan, called Arcadius, Simon, called Thasi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar, called Abaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Appius.
So these are what tribe are they from? Levi. Levites. The Maccabees are Levites. Right? They are mighty Levites from the Most High God, man. Right? By the lawyer, like the brother said, man. Go on.
And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judea and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers?
Right, like we are vexed, man. Surely oppression maketh the wise man mad. Right, Ezekiel 9:4, the Lord says, set a mark upon the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof, man. Right? Jump down, King. Let's get to the point. Let's jump down to verse 15.
Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice.
So the king sent people to cause us to sin by force.
And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias, on this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in the city, and strengthened with sons and brethren.
Right, they singled out Mattathias because he was the priest. That's how the so-called white man destroys us as a people. He always corrupts what? The priesthood. That's the main way to take down the Israelites. You have to corrupt the priesthood first and foremost. Other nations, you just cut down the warrior class. Of old, you have to cut down the priesthood, man. That's how you destroy our connection to the Most High God, man. So he came straight at Mattathias and said, that's the guy right there. If he sells out, he's the priest, everybody's going to sell out, man. That's when they come at your pastors, man. Your deacons, right? Your so-called Creflo Dollars and TD Jakes, because those are the people that we esteem on a high level, man. And if they're corrupted, we're corrupted. Read on.
Now therefore, come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
Right, trying to get him to sell out, man. Who gives a damn, man?
Right.
About being a king's friend, right? Being a white man's friend, man. Selling out God to be the white man's friend and get gold and silver, man. He said, come down first and you do it and I'll take care of you, man. They're going to do that in the time of Jacob's trouble, man. Don't think, though, that's back then. That won't happen again. It's going to come all over again, man. In 2nd Ezra chapter 16, it says, they're going to constrain you to eat of things offered unto idols, man. So that spirit is going to happen all over again, man. Sell out, denounce the Most High, apologize. Didn't they do that to Kyrie Irving? No. Do these 6 things. Then he dropped the video. Yeah, I apologize. Right? We're not apologizing, man. For a damn thing, man. Right, go on.
Come. You get 1 Maccabees chapter 10 and verse number 17. Or like the brother going into, man, we don't care to be the king's friend, man. That's all. That now the Most High God and his son Yahweh Shai to be the white man's friend. Bring that up, King.
Come. First Maccabees 10 and verse number 17. Upon this he wrote a letter and sent it unto him according to these words, saying, King Alexander to his brother Jonathan sendeth greeting. We have heard of thee that thou art a man of great power and meet to be our friend.
And what?
And meet to be our friend.
And meet to be our friend, man. Trying to seduce you. Right, read on.
Wherefore now this day we ordain thee to be high priest of thy nation, and to be called the king's friend. And therewithal he sent him a purple robe.
So these are some of the gifts that they may try to give you, man.
Right.
A purple robe, a chain, jewelry, gold, silver, all of these different flattering titles, man. Read on.
And a crown of gold.
And a crown of gold. To a simple-minded Jake, he'll eat that up, man. I want a crown. I don't have anything. I'm poor. From the ghettos and the slums, right, read?
And required thee to take our part and keep friendship with us.
And that may mean a lot to a simple-minded man. Well, I know the governor. Or I know the so-called president of the United States. You know, Jake get off on stuff like that. Look, I went to Harvard. You see that right there? That piece of paper don't mean a damn thing, man.
Right.
The Most High is not impressed with the wisdom of this world. Right, read on?
So in the 7th month of the 160th year, at the feast of the tabernacles, Jonathan put on the holy robe and gathered together forces and provided much army.
Right, jump to verse 27.
God. Verse number 27. Wherefore now continue ye still to be faithful unto us, and we will well recompense you for the things ye do in our behalf,
Right?
and will grant you many immunities,
Right, we will grant you many immunities. Read?
and give you reward.
And give you rewards. And we don't want the rewards of this society, man. And we don't want the rewards of the wicked, man. Because that'll overthrow your judgment. The Lord said, take not many gifts, paraphrasing, right? Because that'll overthrow your mind and your judgment.
Come. It says it perverted the eyes of the wise, man. Right. That's get that real quick in Sirach 20 and 29. Right? That's the law like the brother went into, man. You can't be sold by gifts, man. People get sold by their job. I'm gonna give you a promotion. Just work on a Sabbath. He'll say it just like that. He won't even say work Saturdays. Just work on a Sabbath, man. Right? We'll give you a $10 raise, man. He might say it's the Shabbat. Right? You gonna work on the Shabbat? Huh, Larry? Earl, you gonna work on the Shabbat? We'll give you a $10 raise. Why don't you just come in, Earl? Well, I don't think. Why don't you just think about it, right? That money hits your direct deposit at midnight, man. Yeah. You got this, man. They don't do that, man. PTO. We don't give you PTO. Every Jake likes some PTO, man. We give you 20 hours of PTO and a $10 raise, man. Yeah, your whole office. Just come in on a Sabbath. You don't have to work the whole day. We know you got camp, don't you? Right? You gotta go to camp later. Camp starts at 3. Just work to 2. Right? Take you 30 minutes to get there. Just lay it all out, man. And do take 30 minutes. Camp do start at 3. Right? And we'll have your food prepared for you. We know you can't have nothing, but look, it'll be all made for you. Just come in on a Sabbath. Try to strong arm you, man. Right? You got something?
Yeah.
Okay, King.
Let's go to Revelations 2 and 10.
Con.
Right, Revelations 2 and 10.
All right.
Yeah, I had that real quick. So,
Yeah.
Sirach 20 and 29.
Sirach 20 and verse number 29.
Right?
Presents and gifts blind the eye of the wise, and stop up his mouth that he cannot reprove.
Right, blinds you, man. Now your judgment is perverted because you don't want to speak out because you're afraid to lose those gifts, man. You got it.
Come, let's go to Revelations 2 and 10.
Revelation chapter 2 and verse number 10. And fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
Right, so that time is coming, man. Right, Jacob's trouble, that hour of temptation. Right, that hour of temptation. You don't know how the devil may tempt you, man. You don't know how temptation may come at you, man. The thing that you're the weakest at, Satan been studying you, man. Right, the so-called white man studies everything you look at on Google,
Right.
all the TV shows you watch,
Right.
the stuff you look at on Amazon and buy. He knows everything about you.
Right.
So that temptation is not going to be something that you just withstand like it's nothing, man.
Right.
That's why you have to pray and ask the Most High to be with you in those days, man. Right? You don't think people was tempted back in the day? You don't think money, the clink of gold, was tempting those brothers, man? But they stood faithful unto the Lord, man. And that's what we gotta pray in these last days, man. Right? They may tempt you with your children, have a gun in their hand, like take another step. This is gonna happen. Or denounce God, this may happen. So you gotta prepare your mind for these things to come and pray that the Lord strengthens you, man. Because we about to see some things way worse than Maccabees, man.
Right.
We're gonna see things way worse than the transatlantic slave trade, the Roman captivity. This is gonna be like a time never before. Let's get that in Daniel 12:1.
Daniel chapter 12 and verse number 1.
So like it. And a lot of people are saying, oh, Jacob's trouble already passed. That makes no damn sense, man.
Right. Right.
I can go out here and do whatever the hell I want. How are we in Jacob's trouble? How is Jacob's trouble passed, man? It makes no sense. Oh man, we knocking on the door of the sixth seal already, man. You don't know this? That's the ignorance of our people, man. Then don't even know what the hell is going on, man. Let's bring that out. All right?
Daniel 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time.
So there's gonna be trouble that's gonna happen in these last days that no man has ever seen on the earth, man. Even the prophets was scared, like, man, who's gonna save me in these days?
Right. Right.
Imagine all the hell they saw, man. You ain't no telling how they saw those visions. They could have seen the visions first person, right? Out of body experience, man. What was that? Habakkuk said, woe is me. Who's gonna deliver me in those days? Ezra, Salaki. Habakkuk said his bones he trembled within himself.
Yeah.
All those visions that Edris had when he passed out, and I fell on my face, and I woke up. Man, if you read the book of 1st and 2nd Edris, man, he done passed out like 10 times. Seeing these visions, man. So this is important with the spirit of the Feast of Dedication coming around, man, to remember that we're rededicating the temple too. The temple is being built up, man. That's Isaiah 19. The temple is being built up. That altar is being set up in Egypt, man. So we got to remember that. And we got to pray that the Most High keeps that spirit of fear and is being solved, man. Because none of our forefathers were solved. Away from all of us who fear the Lord.
And let's go to First Maccabees 2. We're gonna get a few more, and we're gonna wind down. Right. So First Maccabees 2, when you left off in verse, bear with us. 20. Don't start at 19. So they're trying to get Mattathias and his family to sell out. Right. But let's see what he did.
First Maccabees 2 and verse number 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice. Though all the nations that are under the king's domain obey him and fall away, every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
Read.
God
What
forbid.
the men of the Lord say?
God forbid.
What are we doing in the last days?
God forbid.
God forbid that what?
That we should forsake the law and the ordinances.
That's our mentality, man.
Right.
God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. Read on.
We will not hearken to the king's words.
We will what?
We will not hearken to the king's
Oh,
words.
hate speech.
We will not hearken to the king's words.
Misinformation.
We will not hearken to the king's words.
Anti-Semitism.
We will not hearken to the king's words
To do what?
to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left.
Read.
Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar.
He got tempted.
I don't care what he talking about. I don't care whatever, man. That's you.
We know Jake, man.
Right.
Man. Jake started cussing, saying stuff under their breath. Man, that's you, nigga. I'm gonna get this money, man. I'm gonna do me. We see him at the harbor all the time, man. Right? We deal with him all the time, man. That's your God. You serve that guy. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna get this money. Right? How am I supposed to provide for my family, man? He said that money sound good. He heard and saw the pig, man. He man bought a pig there already, man. And went to sacrifice it. Go on, pig blood all in his hands.
which was at motive according to the king's commandment,
Right?
which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal,
Right?
and his brains trembled, neither could he forbear to shew his anger according to judgment, wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
And then what?
And slew him upon the altar.
That's what the Levites do, man. It did. Phineas did it. He slew him, man. The Levites did it. And hey, Moses said, who was on the Lord's side, man? And all of the Levites came in Exodus 32 to 26 on down, and they slew every man his brother, man. Levi did it when they took Dinah and raped Dinah, man. Levi got a spirit, man. He got a particular spirit. They did it in Haiti, man. In the 1700s, man. And they overthrew the so-called white man. There's something about the spirit of the Levites where they don't take no for an answer, man. Right? If you try to oppress, and they rebelling right now. Right now, while we're doing the live, they setting up forts. I don't know if brother saw the video. Yeah, Canada, U.S. is trying to steal the resources. They setting up forts right now. They putting on their battle armor. Hey, Haiti, the Haitians don't give a damn, man. And they don't kill you, man. They don't chop your head off. I saw a video. They actually chopped this dude's arms all up. They kind of threw it in the pot, man. They'll eat mud pies. They cook them. They cooked them, man. So them Levites don't play around, man. Those are the priests of the Most High God, man. Right?
You have some, you can get the book of Psalms real fast, chapter 106 and verse number 28. Going into Phineas, man. Like the brother said, man, them Levites don't play. They'll rise up and kill you, man.
Right.
This isn't a game, especially for the laws of our Lord. Let's get Psalm chapter 106 and verse number 28.
Psalm chapter 106 and verse number 28. They joined themselves also unto Baal Peor and ate the sacrifice of the dead.
Right, they went off, man. They're sitting up there eating the sacrifices of the dead, turning from the Lord. Read about this in Numbers chapter 25. Right, read on.
Thus they provoked him to an anger with their inventions, and the plague break in upon them.
Right.
Then stood up Phineas and executed
When
judgment,
it's killing those men,
and executed
when
judgment,
it's slaughtering them,
and executed
So in
judgment.
the eyes of the Lord, that's executing judgment, man. You can't look at it like, well, Mattathias, did he go off? I mean, he was inflamed with zeal. Was that righteous zeal? Yeah, it was righteous zeal, man. He rose up to execute judgment the same way Phineas did. Right, read on.
And so the plague was stayed,
And so the plague was stayed.
and that was counted unto him for righteousness unto all generations forevermore.
And that's plain.
That's plain. That's plain. That's plain. Right? That's plain, man. So they was about to get Uzziah out the way, man. Then Azariah the priest got 50 men when Uzziah was lighting the incense, and they kind of checked the king, man. Now you can't check the king, but they said, look, we the priests of the Most High God. And they rode up on the king 50 deep, man, and told the king what time it was, man. Kind of got him out the way. So you keep playing around with the priests if you want to, man. They'll do things. Now we're gonna jump down, King. We're gonna get about maybe 3 or 4 more precepts. First Maccabees 2 and let's go to First Maccabees 3. Go to First Maccabees 3. So when you read the second chapter, they ended up fleeing into the wilderness. Mattathias got old. He passed away. Then he set up his sons. He set up Judas, Simon, and Jonathan. Those are the top men that he set up. He had 5 sons, but those were the top men. He said Solomon was an honorable man. Let him be your counselor. Judas has been valiant from his youth. Let him be your captain. That's how the father set up his sons before they died, man. This is what they call the Hasmonean dynasty, right? Or the Maccabean dynasty. Something that the so-called white man refuses to bring up. Bring that up. First Maccabees 3 and 1.
First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse number 1. Then his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him, and so did all they that held with his father, and they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel.
Right, go on.
So he got his people great honor.
He did what?
He got his people great honor,
Right?
and put on a breastplate as a giant, and girt his warlike harness about him, and he made battles protecting the host with his sword.
Right. Now, he was slaying the heathen, man. We're not going to read as much as we would like to all of First Maccabees. But the Lord rose up Judas. Right? So, like, let me pull this map up real quick. This is the Maccabean family tree, or this chart right here. And you can see on the screen, it shows Mattathias when he revolted, and his 5 sons, John, then Judas when he ruled, then Jonathan, and then Simon. Then their sons, John Hyrcanus, Aristobulus, Alexander, Hyrcanus II, Aristobulus II, and then Herod, you see Herod the Great in there, but we'll go into that on another day, right? Where Herod the Great came into power because his forefather, Antipater, worked hand in hand with John Hyrcanus and his army. So he kind of got, for lack of better terms, grafted in, huh? They grafted in Esau, huh? Because John Hyrcanus forced all of the Edomites to be circumcised and follow the ways of the Jews, right? Now, go to 1 Maccabees 4 and 41. We're going to read 41 through 53, and we're going to close out, Lord willing.
First Maccabees chapter 4 and verse number 41.
Right?
Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary.
So we fought many battles, started cutting down the heathen, expanding our territory, and then we started getting to we about to dedicate the temple. Read on.
So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the Lord,
Right?
who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones unto an unclean place.
Right. They took out the unclean stones with pig blood on it and human excrement and the waste that Esau had, and they took it to an unclean place. Read on.
And when, as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing to do, man. If I had pig blood all in my refrigerator, I'm not keeping the refrigerator. Or just clean it out, get a little bit of Lysol, right? Being over righteous. No, man. Throw it out, get another refrigerator, man. Right? That's how they were. They said, look, we can't keep the altar. It was so much flesh on the altar. Let's pull it down and start fresh. Go on.
And laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place until there should come a prophet to shew what should be done with them.
Right?
Then they took whole stones according to the law and built a new altar according to the former,
Right?
and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple and hollowed the courts.
Read.
They made also new holy vessels.
This is a lot of work right there, man. They're literally making the vessels by hand. This is zeal right here. A lot of I don't want to do that. Right? It's just too much, man. Right? I don't know if that's part of the commandments or not. Show me in the law where I got to make holy vessels. Right? That's why they have to get men that wanted to do this, man. They have pleasure in the law. Those the brothers you want around you, man. Brothers that have pleasure in righteousness, man. Not that this is tedious, man. Read on.
They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick.
They brought the what?
The candlestick.
Right? That's the menorah.
Right.
Right? They brought the candlestick, which is the menorah. Read on.
And the altar of burnt offerings and of incense and the table, and upon the altar they burned incense.
They burned incense.
And the lamps that were upon the candlestick, they lighted.
They lighted it. And don't believe the Jewish fables about the 9 candlesticks. Well, we had the oil, it kind of lasted one day, but then it lasted 8 days, and we had to spin the dreidel and eat potato cakes. That's not in the book of Maccabees, man. Show me where Judas ate latkes. I believe it's called latkes, man. Latkes. And they spin it the dreidel with the different things on it, man. We wasn't doing that, man. That's Esau's Babylonian Talmud, witchcraft, sorcery type of deal, man. He wouldn't deal with the number 9, right? 9 deals with incompletion, right? He don't want to deal with 7, man. His spirit can't deal with 7, right? Can't deal with 8.
You want to deal with 9, man. Right, go on.
It's like they light it at the harbor. They might light it soon, man. They put that big menorah. You said what?
They're gonna do it next
They're gonna do it next week. So they're gonna light that big menorah up, and all the Amalek is gonna come out, man. We're gonna hold camp in front of the menorah.
That's right.
Right, go on.
Upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table and spread out the veils
Right, they put the unleavened bread there. Go on.
and finished all the works which they had begun to make.
No, they gave up.
Which they had begun to make.
They finished the works. Go on.
Now, on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning
And then what?
and offered sacrifices according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made.
This is the beginning of the Feast of Dedication. They dedicated the temple, cleansed it, took out the wicked things out the temple, and made everything righteous, and offered new offerings according to the law. Read on.
Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it, even in that was it dedicated with songs.
So they was turning up, man. Stop thinking about your light bill and rent on the Feast of Dedication, man.
Right.
The first day of the Feast of Dedication, I don't know, I gotta go to work. Ain't the hell would work, man.
Right.
It's the Feast of Dedication, man. Oh boy, I don't know, my car needs a new transmission. Hey, brother, so what, man? A brother's gonna pick you up and take you there, man. We're gonna keep the Feast of Dedication in mirth and joy, man. Right, read on.
With songs and citherns.
Brothers might learn how to play the cithern. I got a cithern for the Feast of Dedication, man. Brother show up with the cithern, right? Doing his thing, man. Right? I might get the cithern, man. Brother may not know what a cithern is, man. Right? You might pull it up and you kind of play that thing, man. I believe it's like a guitar, if I'm not mistaken.
Build it.
Right. You might have to build it, man.
Can you
Take a
build
piece
it,
of
man?
wood, right? Get the wire, and then kind of do your thing,
String it up.
right? They had citherns in there. Jimi Hendrix, man. The Isley Brothers. Isn't it? I believe it's like a guitar, right? It's like a small guitar. We're going to show you. The brother got it. He's going to pull it up. See that? Oh, yeah, that's what this is.
Forgot y'all right there.
Right?
See that?
We're going to bring the citherns out, man.
That's right.
Right? Brother's going to be singing with the citherns, man. Playing that thing, man. Right?
Right. With some bass on it, man.
Yeah, they say a so-called black man that actually invented the modern day guitar too, man. Right? How much is it?
7,000.
Maybe next year we'll play the citherns. Right? Go on.
And harps.
It's 7,000 for that. Okay, all right, for that. All right, come. That's a little different. Right, go on.
And harps. And
Right,
cymbals.
and brothers might bring the harps out, man. See, a modern day harp is like a piano. It's kind of harp turned on the side. Your brothers kind of play the harp is like playing a piano, man. Right, with time go on.
And cymbals.
Right, the cymbals, not the little nasty hand cymbals.
Yeah.
Monkey.
The monkey cymbals that the Elamites have, man. They're kind of doing this with the. It's not those kind of cymbals, man. Right, it's the mighty Asaph cymbals, man. That make noise, man.
That's scary.
Yeah, they're kind of scary, man. So they had a band going in there, man. It was turning up, man.
Right.
Yeah, they was spinning the joint, man, banging the joint, playing the citherns. They was doing their thing, singing. Go on, and nobody can turn up like an Israelite on a feast day. Nobody, and righteousness, man. Read on.
Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success.
And the Most High is giving Israel good success, man. Right? Israelites are waking up. The Most High is putting spirit on people to push the truth on a higher level, man. So the Most High is giving the ministry good success, man. And rebuilding the temple. So we're going to celebrate in righteousness.
Right.
December 17th at sundown.
That's right.
Go on.
And so they kept the dedication.
No, they kept Christmas.
They kept the
What
dedication.
about Kwanzaa?
They kept the dedication
Right?
of the altar 8 days.
8 days of feasting and mirth. Go. Jake barely got the spirit to do it, man. I'm tired. I gotta go home. Right? 8 days long.
Right.
Not the first day, turn up there, the second day kind of chill, brothers kind of show up, go with them. 8 days of just mighty murder, man. Brothers down? Brothers down? 8 days of mighty murder, man. See that? Let's go on.
And offer burnt offerings with gladness,
Right?
and sacrifice the sacrifice of deliverance and praise.
Read.
They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold
That's mighty.
and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them.
Right?
Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away.
Now here's the point. Go on.
Moreover, Judas and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel, ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days from the 25th day of the month Caslu with mirth and gladness.
That's right, man. You keep it after the manner of the Feast of Dedication. So the first day is a Sabbath. It's like the Feast of Tabernacles. The first day is a Sabbath, and the 8th day is a Sabbath. Right? So no buying and selling on the first day, December 17th at sundown. You're going to have back-to-back Sabbath days.
Right.
Friday night to Saturday night, and Saturday night to Sunday night. No buying and selling on those days. Saturday night, come in. Yes, brothers, you can cook. Right? Can I cook? Yes, you can cook. It's a feast day. It's of mirth and it's of joy. Right? And it's like the 8th day is a solemn assembly. Right? So the 8th day is also a Sabbath, and no buying and no selling. Right? But you can cook and be of joy and mirth, and you light your menorah, and you read the book of 1st and 2nd Maccabees, and you get into the spirit, right? It lasts 8 days long.
The 17th at sundown, right? That's a Saturday night. So brothers and sisters, don't get tempted to try to cook on the 17th before the sun goes down, man.
Right.
But that following Shabbat, you can cook. You can turn up, do as you please, because it's the Feast of Dedication. And it ends on so-called Christmas, man. So the Lord been separated. We had the feast day, or the new moon fell on so-called Thanksgiving.
Right.
Now we got the Feast of Dedication falling on so-called Christmas, man. Where you gonna see who's really gonna serve the Lord and who's gonna be an Antiochian.
Right. So again, that's one of the top holy days. And you're supposed to congregate, man. Don't keep it solo in your basement, man. With one candlestick you're holding up like this, man, on that dish. That's not a menorah, brother. Right? You just got that one candlestick on that little dish, man, with your hat on, man. You had a little finger holder on it, man. Right? Eating a piece of lamb, brother. Congregate, brother. Brothers supposed to congregate, and the sisters supposed to do their thing with the sisters, man.
Right.
Hey, the children kind of running around doing their things in righteousness, man. Had the brothers on the grill doing the lamb, right? Had the brothers with the music, man, keeping a feast day of mirth and joy, man. Remembering in the righteousness the mighty acts of Yahweh Shai that he gave our forefathers, man. And brothers should be reading 1st and 2nd Maccabees from this time up. If you don't finish all the way up until the end of the Feast of Dedication, man. Brothers, anything else? I want with that, Most High willing you was edified. Kwam Yashem. Shalom.
Shalom.